Hello and welcome to Chapter 12. Today we're going to talk about team leadership. And this concept is very different from all the other theories and concepts we discussed thus far about leadership. And we're talking about this because it's important because teams today are very popular. Over 80% of organizations use teams for problem solving and improvement. There is a difference between groups and teams, however. A group is defined as two or more persons who are interacting in such a way that each person influences and is influenced by each other person, versus a team is defined as a group of people committed to a common purpose with a common set of performance goals and an approach for which the team members hold themselves mutually accountable. So you can see where a team is much more than a group because we have goals and purpose and accountability built in. So teams are very popular in organizations because teams typically outperform individuals when the task involves multiple skills, judgment, experience, and that sort of thing, because we're bringing together people and individuals with varied backgrounds. Therefore, we can generate more diverse and creative solutions to problems. Teams are also a good way to utilize individual talents and to develop skills in employees. And in today's changing environment, teams allow organizations to be flexible and responsive to changes that go on. And also employees like teams. They feel that they're empowered when they're on a team. And this tends to increase job satisfaction and morale, enhance employee involvement, and also it promotes workplace diversity. So the current focus is on team variables, the role of effective behavior and cognitive process in team success. So what we look at as far as variables, we look at trust and bonding, adapting, structure, learning, and so forth. The function of leadership in teams, if we have a team leader, the focus is on leader-team interactions rather than the leader interacting individually with subordinates. There's a focus on process, where teams develop critical capabilities. There's a focus on the role of the leader to ensure the team success. And lastly, distributed leadership, which is where the role of leader could be shared among everyone in the team, and there could be changing roles according to the situation or what happens. So the book provides a model so we can try to understand this, and it's fairly complex. So you have to really look at that and kind of think about it, because it's the leader's job to monitor the team and take whatever action is necessary to ensure team effectiveness. So the model allows us to provide a mental model that allows the leader to be flexible and have a wide range of actions that can be used to solve team problems. So it allows them to diagnose the problems and take appropriate action to correct the problems. So the mental model looks at what the problem is, as well as different environmental and organizational influences on the particular problem. And this is the model, which is in your book. So you might want to kind of look this over or maybe have that out as we talk about it. So the first thing a leader has to do is to decide if they should monitor the team or take action. So by monitoring, what they would be doing is analyzing what's going on and forecasting any problems, seeing what could possibly happen. So they need to decide whether they should keep monitoring that or take some kind of action to solve a problem. So effective leaders have to have the ability to determine what to do, what interventions are needed, or just to sit back and continue kind of looking at it and seeing what's going on. All members of the team can engage in monitoring, and it's a good idea if they do, because the leader can't see everything. So if everybody's kind of watching out for things and communicating, that works most effectively. Along with the model, the book proposes a kind of a quadrant of what to look at as far as whether the leader should monitor the situation or take action. And it looks at internal and external. So for instance, in quadrant 1, which is the internal and monitor, the leader is diagnosing group deficiencies. The second quadrant, the leader is acting to repair the problems. That would be internal and action. Then in external and monitor, quadrant 3, the leader is scanning the environment to determine and forecast any external changes that could possibly affect the group. Then in quadrant 4, the leader is taking action to prevent any negative changes in the environment from hurting the team. So the leader's first decision is whether to keep monitoring the situation or to fix the problem. If they don't take action when they should, the problems might escalate and get out of control. However, leaders who kind of jump in and take action right away might not be doing the right thing because they might not have all the information. So it's a difficult call for a leader to know, when to kind of sit back and when to take action. So the second question is should the leader intervene to meet task or relational needs? Does the team need help dealing with relational and task issues? Good team leaders tend to focus on both of these, and they're interrelated. If you think about it, if we have goals, then we might also, be developing cohesion. So these things are related. Okay, so task, as we know, is all about getting the job done versus maintenance is kind of like the relational sort of things we've talked a lot about. And this becomes even more magnified in a virtual team where the leader isn't there to see the team actually functioning and see what the problems are. So the third decision the leader makes, according to the model, is should they intervene internally or externally? So they need to analyze and balance the internal and external demands of the team and react correctly. So the leader has to determine what level of team process needs their attention. Is it internal? Is it external? Internal would be things like conflict between group members, team goals are unclear. External could be a situation of support. Maybe there's something that the team needs, some sort of software program or some sort of administrative help that the leader could try to provide them. So the middle of the model talks about leadership functions, and these are performed either internally or externally. So it's up to the leader to assess what action, if any, is needed, and then intervene with specific leadership functions to meet the demands of the situation. So the leader needs to respond with the action that's required of the situation. So they need to recognize and interpret what's going on, what's getting in the way of the team accomplishing their goals. And then they have to make a strategic choice as far as the action to take. So internal task leadership actions. These are things the leader might do to improve task performance. If there's an issue with goals, maybe the goals are ambiguous, maybe the goals aren't being accepted. So the leader could focus there. Structuring for results. Perhaps the vision isn't clear, the roles, who does what, delegating. Facilitating and decision making could involve training team members in task skills. Team members need to know maybe how to read certain company documents or deal with a certain software program, or maybe it's interpersonal or communication skills. They have to maintain standards of excellence. They have to assess the situation and deal with team members who aren't performing. Okay? So internal actions, sets of actions the leader needs to implement to improve team relations. So these are things within the team. They may need to coach members in interpersonal skills. They may need to do some conflict resolution, building commitment and esprit de corps, satisfying needs, ethical behavior. So all these are the more interpersonal kind of things that the leader may need to address. Then we have external things, actions to improve the environmental interface with the team. So the team needs to monitor the environment closely and determine what actions should be taken to enhance team effectiveness. So lastly, team effectiveness. So the key point to the model is to show that the leader has to do whatever is necessary to take care of the unmet needs of the group. If all the needs of the group are being met and it's continuing on, the leader doesn't have to do much but keep monitoring. So team effectiveness is the desired outcomes of the teamwork, our goals being met. Okay, and these could be performance or task accomplishment, or they could be development, the maintenance of the team. Okay, so we look if there's a clear elevating goal. Okay, so it's clear, so no one can tell if performance objectives have been met. Okay, so we have to be able to say that yes, the objectives have been met. We have to motivate and involve the members so they think that whatever we're working on is worthwhile and important. They see it as important to the organization or making a difference. Okay, results-driven structure. We need to find the best structure to achieve goals. We have to have clear team roles, good communication, ways to assess performance, including rewards. How do we reward teams? That's like a whole nother issue. Do we reward people individually or based on team effort? Okay, so we have to kind of look at those things in effectiveness. We need to look at core competencies. Do the team members have the ability to do the job well? Can they solve problems? You just can't take a group of people and put them together and say, okay, you're a team, solve this problem. They need the skills to do that. So there's several ways that we as EHRD people can do training interventions to teach them critical thinking and problem-solving ability and root cause analysis and things like that. Okay, so teams need that sort of background, as well as interpersonal and teamwork skills, listening skills, communication, all that sort of thing. They have to be open and supportive and be positive. We need the right number and mix of members to have an effective team. If we're trying to solve a complicated problem, we need a variety of people to get a lot of different experience and backgrounds in there. And then there's also a right number of members on a team. If you have too few, you won't have creative decision making. If you have too many, people won't speak out and you may have issues come up like groupthink and things like that. So those are important considerations. Also for effectiveness, we need unified commitment. The team has to feel like they're a team and feel some sort of identification to each other. The climate has to be collaborative. We have to have trust and honesty. And that sort of thing. So leaders can make sure that communication is safe. They can reward collaborative behavior. They can guide problem solving. Okay. So standards of excellence. We have regulated performance, the facilities, task completion, and coordinated action. And we want to stimulate some positive pressure for members to perform. I mean, we want to make sure that we're getting the performance by making sure expectations are clear, providing feedback, rewards. As I said, you have to reward the team appropriately, or you could be incentivizing competitive behavior versus team behavior. So all those are considerations. We have to look at external resources. Do the teams have what they need? Are they being recognized? Are they being rewarded? Okay. So how this works, it seems fairly complex, which I think it is, but if you really break it apart, it makes sense. And so the model is meant to provide a cognitive map to identify group needs and offer suggestions. So a leader could look at this and then ask the questions, do I want to keep monitoring? Do I want to do something? If I do something, which behavior should I, engage in, and that sort of thing. So the model also assists leaders in making sense of the complexity of the group and provides suggestions, for effectiveness. So several strengths to this model. It does provide answers to what constitutes excellent teams and provides a cognitive guide, recognizes the changing role of leaders and followers, and it can be used as a tool. However, there are some criticisms. The model is incomplete. If you think about it, there's plenty of other behaviors that a leader may engage in other than the ones just listed. And then the model might not be practical to everybody because it is complex. It also fails to consider distributed leadership. What happens when the leadership function is shared amongst the team members? It doesn't really address that. More focus required on how to teach and provide skill development. How does the leader go about monitoring and diagnosing a situation and then taking action? So the model really doesn't give us insight into the skills that a leader needs for this. So as far as application, it's useful in leader decision making. It can be used as a team diagnostic tool. There is a questionnaire in your book that can be used to diagnose, team skills. So that's the end of chapter 12. Those were the high points. I hope you enjoyed the chapter, and I hope you thought about teams that you've been involved in, maybe here at school or outside of school, and how the leader interacted with the team. Thank you.